Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who haven't been here before, hi, I'm Lorry Hill, and on this channel we talk about beauty standards, plastic and cosmetic procedures, as well as celebrities and the products that they buy. If that sounds good to you, then make sure to subscribe. Today's video will be a Q&A. I asked all of you to ask me questions on both YouTube and Instagram. Now I'm going to try to get to as many questions as possible. If I don't get to your question, it's likely because I don't know the answer to it, and it just wouldn't be interesting to read the question out loud and then say I don't know. So if your question was extremely specific about your situation, then it's likely I won't be able to answer that. Also, you should note that within this video, if I do give any type of plastic surgery advice, it's strictly coming as my opinion. As a non-medical professional, this would be like an opinion I give to a close friend. Please don't take any of my statements as actual medical advice, as I am not a doctor. Let's get started. Your YouTube has changed my perspective and the perspectives of so many other people to be more confident and understand cosmetic procedures. What is your favorite story of someone impacted by your work on here? One of my favorite stories is of a teacher who emailed me saying that she teaches pre-adolescent children and she notices that it's a very trying time for their self-esteem. So she'll show my videos, of course the appropriate ones, to her class from time to time. I thought that was so awesome, and it really made me feel like I was making somewhat of a difference. I am 38 and considering getting a deep plane facelift someday. My question is, in your opinion, how can you tell you are at a good point to get your first facelift? Thank you for your advice. So 38 is pretty young to get a facelift, but you did say someday. How I could tell I was ready was that the changes I wanted to make to my face, they weren't able to be accomplished through filler. I would notice that I only looked good in certain lighting. Other lighting, you could really see the volume deficiencies in my face, and it made me really self-conscious. And that would be my advice to you, is if the issues that you're noticing on your face can't be resolved with filler or some other type of non-surgical procedure, then it may be time for a facelift, but I honestly wouldn't be able to know without seeing you. And make sure to get at least 3 different opinions from plastic surgeons before you pick one. This is a sensitive question, but how would you feel if your child had the features you have had work on? For example, your original nose. My son actually does have my original nose, and I think it looks really good on him. I know that I've answered that question before, and I truthfully really think that nose looks good on him. I don't know if it has to do with him being a male, or if I just love him so much that to me, he doesn't need to change anything. Does your son know about the work you had done, or are you planning on telling him? So he doesn't know about the work I've had done. He's still really young. If he were to ask me, I would still wait until it's an appropriate age to tell him. As someone still young in their early 20s who feels pressured by standards to keep looking young and scared of small signs of aging, how do I carry on with this? So in your early 20s, I've noticed this is a common occurrence that people get super scared of aging. But as you get older, that sort of fear of looking a bit older goes away. I'm not going to say that you never fear it, but I feel as though the fear in your early 20s is somewhat common for most people. It's coming from a place of being young and then going to a place of being older. And I think it runs deeper than actually how you look. I think over time, as you focus your life more on other things besides how you look, that fear is going to go away. It'll be replaced with good experiences and realizing that really the only way to live is to actually age. Would you encourage me to take the best care of my skin and health and everything as I can? Or is it okay to start thinking of preventative measures to stay looking young? So I would encourage you to take the best care of your skin, and we will talk about that later in the video. But I would also encourage you to not miss out on events that are fun for you. If you're super concerned about your skin, it's not so much all the products that you use in your early 20s, but rather what you don't do, like drinking or staying out in the sun. on. And of course, smoking. Tell us about your future surgeries, if you will. Love your channel. It helped me with my confidence. Greetings from Peru. How sweet. Thank you. So I don't have any major future surgeries planned. The only thing I'm still focused on is repairing the damage that was done to my nose when I got necrosis of my nose. And you can watch my necrosis video here, and I'll also link it down below. Other than that, I still want to look into having possible jaw surgery, but that's less aesthetic and more functional. Hello, Lori. I would also love a tip on how to reduce scar tissue. I think it would be useful not only for plastic surgery, but for patients in general. Thank you. So scar tissue is extremely dependent on the procedure you had done. So I don't think there's general advice I can give for reduction of scar tissue, but I would urge you to listen to your doctor. Anything they tell you not to do, don't do it threefold. Don't try to do things earlier than you're supposed to do while you're still recovering. Especially don't do activities that rush the blood to the head. That'll help a lot with swelling. But everybody's body scars differently, so can't really give you advice on how to reduce scar tissue. Hi Lori, could you discuss different types of breast lifts? Which ones you think is the best, please? I'm 30, but my breasts tend to sag since I lost some weight. Do you think now is a good time to get the procedure done? Or as breasts sag with age, it's better to wait and do it once and for all later in life? Thank you. So that's hard because it really depends on your particular situation. In general, I would urge you to wait if you're going to have children, because breastfeeding and just production of milk and the delivery of milk to your breast really changes their shape, even if you don't choose to breastfeed or you can't breastfeed. I would also wait if you're planning to breastfeed, because sometimes having implants will make it harder to breastfeed. I don't see a reason to wait if you're not looking to breastfeed. As far as the different types of lifts, that's something that I would rather a plastic surgeon discuss, and there's a ton of plastic surgeon videos on YouTube. I don't want to risk being demonetized. Hi Lori, could you maybe give some advice in reducing or preventing scars, either normal ones or made after surgery, from happening? This would be interesting. Also, maybe you can talk about procedures which are mostly not worth the risk in your opinion. Okay, there's a lot of questions in here, so let me just pick one. I'm gonna pick the procedures that aren't worth the risk. So in my opinion right now, a BBL really isn't worth the risk because there's just so much mortality associated with them still. And I realize that there are different factors that lead to the death rate from BBLs, but even so, I'm not sure that surgeons have perfected the art of the BBL and it being less dangerous for patients. Do you think that Jared Leto has had work done? I do think he's had some work done. I haven't researched him yet. I don't think it's major work. The thing that Jared has going for him is he has baby-like features all bunched in the middle of his face, as well as skin that's just amazing and that really hasn't aged all that much. I do think in general that he does get facial procedures, things that will preserve his skin. His face reminds me a lot of Rob Lowe's face. They have similar types of facial features, and those types of slight, small facial features coupled with large bone structure tend to age very well on a man. Hi Lori, I've been considering a thigh lift for a long time, but I'm put off with the long scar from knee to groin, which you can end up with. As a result of losing weight, I have had a bit of crinkly loose skin, and I'd love for it to be smooth again. Is there any other operation treatment available that can give similar results to a thigh lift? So there are short scar lifts. I'm not sure if they're available for thigh area. I have heard that for the scar to be worth it on a thigh lift, that your thighs should literally look like a Shar-Pei's. That's not my words. That's what a surgeon said. For the scar to be a good payoff. So to me, I take that to mean that you have to have major skin overlap where it's rubbing for it to be worth it. Now, if you just have skin laxity, I would recommend serious weight training where the goal is to gain muscle. As you gain muscle, it will take up that loose skin. Now, it won't be 100% perfect, but it'll be a lot better. Now, after that, you could try Morpheus 8, but that's only after you've gained the amount of muscle that you need to gain. That's the steps I would take if I was in your position. As far as the skin being crinkly, from what I understand, Morpheus 8 can improve that. I would also look into micro needling of the area with PRP, but that's a more long-term solution. And of course, that could get expensive as well. Hi, Lori. I would love to hear your advice for people in their 20s and 30s on what preventative steps we can take to age gracefully. The best thing you can do as far as major preventative steps in your 20s is not smoking, keeping drinking to a minimum, not being in atmospheres where you're closed in with other people smoking, and really applying that sunscreen every time you leave the house, as well as using a physical barrier. You really have to think in advance of the invitations that you get, and would it be worth the damage to your skin? If I'm invited to the lake or somewhere where I know there's going to be a lot of sun bearing down on me with no cover or minimal cover, I don't go. I've heard you mention the Kibbe image ID of celebrities sometimes. Do you know what your image ID is? That's a great question. So I know a lot of you don't follow Kibbe, so I'll keep this really brief, but I've been told that I'm either a dramatic classic or I'm a soft dramatic. And let me know if you'd like me to do a Kibbe body type video. I would love to do that video, but I fear that a lot of you don't know what that is. So let me know down below in the comments. Why do some fans get so mad that their fave had plastic surgery? It's so strange because I still don't know, after years of making these videos, why people get so mad. I try to put myself in their position and I still don't understand their perspective. The only thing that I've come up with was maybe people idealize their favorite celebrity and then really devalue plastic surgery and think it's a bad thing. So if you have those two beliefs in your head, you're going to get upset when somebody says that your idol has had plastic surgery. Why do you look so different? Did you have buccal fat removal? No, I haven't had anything done. And I do let you guys know whenever I get something done. I think that it looks different because I got a haircut and they did really short layers right here to accentuate the cheekbones. I don't know. I'm thinking that's the reason because I've been getting those comments a lot and it's been since my haircut, so I don't know. Today's video is sponsored by ThredUp, and you guys know that I've been working with them for almost a year now. ThredUp is an online thrift and consignment store, and apart from our sponsorship, I've bought so many things from them. I use their mobile site, which is extremely convenient and easy to shop, and they have a cool new feature on it where you can actually see the items that I bought, as well as shop similar items to mine and get outfit inspirations just by using my link. Here's why I love ThredUp. Now more than ever, we really need our dollars to go as far as possible. And I honestly think that thrifting is the way to go because you get much more clothing and better quality clothing for the money that you spend. And I'm all about getting high-end clothing for low prices if I can. What's the point of buying new high-end clothing when you can find pretty much the same clothing on ThredUp? ThredUp has high-end brands for much lower prices. They also have mid-tier brands as well as extremely affordable brands. And they make it easy to shop based on brand, category, or size. So you won't suffer the common scenario of finding something that you love that doesn't come in your size. ThredUp pre-sorts the clothing for you, so you aren't wasting time searching. They have over 40,000 brands and they get new things in every day. You can shop high-quality shoes, accessories, and clothing for up to 90% off the estimated retail price. Now check out these ThredUp looks that I've put together. First, we have this fabulous Marissa Webb dress, estimated retail price $325, ThredUp price $99.99. Next up, we have these jeans by Altered State, estimated retail price $127, ThredUp price $33.99. Now we have this casual outfit. I'm sorry about the tag sticking out in the back. I'm wearing Hudson jeans, which are a well-made quality brand, and the shirt by Marc Jacobs says etc, etc, which is something I always write into my scripts. This top by Rag & Bone is my favorite because of its high neck without it being an actual turtleneck sweater, so it's not stuffy or uncomfortable. Last, we have this Levi's denim jacket that is basically new, and I love its color and its cropped fit. So whether you're looking for a brand new wardrobe or you're just missing some key pieces for some of your looks, now is the time to try ThredUp. You can click the link down below in my description box. And I do have a coupon code for you guys. It's Lorry, Lorry. Use the coupon code to get 35% off your first order at ThredUp. Thank you so much to ThredUp for sponsoring this video, and a huge thank you to all of you out there who support my sponsors. It honestly helps me so much. Your thoughts on a dimpleplasty, not often talked about. So I hate to dismiss this question because I know it's important probably to you if you're bringing it up. I guess my thought is it seems like an unnecessary procedure. I feel like plastic surgery is already risky enough. Why do it to just have something so small that likely people won't notice? As far as like dimples being like a milestone or a landmark of beauty, they're not that I know of. They're just cute when they occur naturally, and that's about it. What do you think of cool sculpting? Here's the thing, after Linda Evangelista came out about her having that complication where basically she got lymphedema, I believe it's called, just giant lumps of fat from having the procedure done, I just decided it's not worth it. I mean, I've never had it before, but even if it's just a 1% chance that something like that could happen, to me, 1% is too high because now she has to live with that condition for her life. I have always thought that it's a better idea to just get straight, liposuction, and now they can even do liposuction while you're still awake, so you may want to consider that. The cost of cool sculpting can even run higher than liposuction because of how many treatments you need, but at least with actual liposuction, there isn't that crazy possible side effect of getting lymphedema. Are there any side effects to getting Botox young? I have heard you can have complications if you get Botox too young to other parts of your face, such as getting smaller accessory wrinkles, kind of like the bunny lines here. To me, if you have an overactive muscle like I had this overactive muscle here, and you get it Botoxed, I think the only thing it really does is shrink that muscle, and I think that's what you were going for in the first place. You don't want to overdo Botox at a young age because you still want to have movement. And remember, you can always get Botox done where you can still completely move your face, though not to the same extent that you could before Botox. Are you planning on having any more children? No, unfortunately not. I would love another child. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I know there's other options like adoption. I just don't know that we have the bandwidth and energy for that. How's your mental health? I'm always so worried about big YouTubers. First of all, thank you for calling me a big YouTuber. I don't think of myself that way, but I think my mental health is okay, probably because I'm just older. If I was like young and on YouTube, I think it would be really hard to handle the comments that I get sometimes. Also, just weird publicity that I didn't ask for and don't want. I'm just not really a big drama person, I don't think. I don't like that part of YouTube that you can say something and then wake up to a bunch of drama and controversy. But otherwise, my mental health is okay. Thank you for asking. What are the most common procedures undertaken by male celebs? I would say the most common procedures are nose jobs, blepharoplasty, and facelifts. Things that kind of fly under the radar and aren't noticed. I think male celebrities have to be extremely careful to not feminize their faces, as in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry, looking extremely masculine is prized above all. So they have to be careful for that. Oh, I forgot to mention also hair transplants. I think that a lot of actors get hair transplants. Is there a video you'd love to make but don't because you don't think it'll perform well? If so, what is it? There's a couple I'd love to make, and one would be Cher and another would be Dolly Parton, but I just need a lot more help and time to do those because I believe like their plastic surgery has been going on for decades, and it would just take a lot more time and help than I have right now. So I'm definitely not ignoring your request to do those celebrities. I just haven't been able to get the time and energy to do them. Tips to keep a healthy self-esteem, self-image, especially after a breakup, being rejected or losing someone you thought was special. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. It's the worst. I feel like being rejected is a huge thing to get over. I'm going to tell you what I told myself when I was younger. I just think that rejection is about them and not about you. And the more you could just keep telling yourself that, hopefully it'll soak in. And although it's super hard to date nowadays and to keep putting your heart out there and then just getting it stomped on, remember that sometimes you're the one stomping on other people's hearts too, whether you know it or not. I guess the magic of love is finding two people in the same place at the same time who feel the same way about each other. Hi Lori, love your channel. Do you believe there's any real procedure that can reduce or eliminate stretch marks? I don't think there's a procedure that can completely eliminate stretch marks because stretch marks are a scar to the skin. You should look more for procedures that reduce the appearance of stretch marks. I would look into microneedling with PRP, and I would also look into Morpheus 8. I believe when I was researching it, it may have said that it helps with stretch marks. There's a way actually to camouflage stretch marks, and it's by using an ink that they use for tattoos, and the ink will be matched to your skin color. A talented artist will be able to blend in your stretch marks with that ink. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Really research that person. It's extremely important to find the right person to do this for you, but I've seen some amazing results with this. Which celebrity do you think has had the best work done overall? So that award definitely goes to Shakira. I think she's had some great, almost undetectable work done. How do people deal with the pain of the surgery and the pain afterwards? Are the Kardashians, for example, super brave, or what is it? So I think for the average person, it's really hard to deal with post-surgical pain, and I don't think it's typical to be able to be getting surgery after surgery. I think in the Kardashians' case, how they deal with it without actually knowing them is that they're so driven by the actual reason that they're getting the surgery, or they're so driven to look a certain way that the pain is secondary, as strange as that may sound. Would you be willing to use your facial analysis skills to suggest enhancements to your subscribers? So I have done a few consults here and there, but nothing where I'm doing it on a regular basis. I just don't have time right now. Have you heard of banana rolls, the roll of fat under your butt cheek? I've done a ton of exercises. I've lost 30 pounds, lifted weights, and done weird leg lifts, and it still won't go away. Okay, so I think a banana roll, initially I thought it was something on the face, but then I saw the butt cheek part. So yeah, I had to look it up, but it just looks like regular old fat rolls underneath the buttocks. And for that, if you really can't firm it or tone it, and you can't diet it away, it sounds like that's what you've been doing, then the only other solution I can think of would be actual liposuction to that area. But do be careful because fat is a supportive structure, so you don't want to lipo it away if it's keeping your butt up high. Oftentimes, people will lipo the fat under the butt, and that'll make their butt droop. Can you do a mid-face lift on its own, and what's the best technique? So I can't speak to the technique. That's a question to ask your surgeon, but you can do a mid-face lift on its own, or you can have one done during a facelift. And that's just simply where they lift your inner cheek area right here, as well as doing a facelift, which would lift the outer circumference of the face. I'm in my 20s and want to try my best at preventative care. I live in Las Vegas. The heat, sun, and dry climate are out to destroy my skin. As hard as I try, my skin takes a beating in the summer. What is your opinion on light therapy? I would love to have full body light therapy in my home. How achievable or expensive would this be? I don't know. I can't speak to the cost of having a full body light therapy. I've only ever tried and failed with IPL, actually IPL light therapy. I've never had any lasers or anything like that, and I don't really have experience in that realm. I hear you about the Las Vegas weather, really out to destroy your skin. I live in Las Vegas too. My best advice to you, if you really, really want to put your skin first, is to just stay indoors in the hottest of the hot summer months. Or if you are able to leave, honestly, that's probably the best thing you can do, is to leave for the summer if your job is flexible. If you really, really care about your skin and you can do it, it's probably best to go to a place that isn't as crazy hot as it is here in the desert. But aside from all of that, if you can't leave, then of course use a physical sunscreen, use a physical sun barrier, especially when you're in your car. Make sure to reapply every 2 hours. I think the best looking skin is the one that's been lived in the least. And I hate to say that, but if we're just talking about skin and its reaction to exposure to sun, I would say that's kind of the key to good skincare, is preventative. Do you ever find an actor's face distracting because of possible plastic surgery? Sometimes I find my mind drifting while watching some TV shows, and I would imagine it's worse with your keen eyes. Yes, it's horrible. Movies have been completely ruined for me. The last person I saw that had really distracting surgery, at least to my eye, maybe they didn't, Austin Butler, and he played Elvis, and he did look like Elvis, but I found his lips to be really distracting. I'd like to hear more about people going different places to get various procedures. I heard Turkey is a cheap place to get hair transplants and dental veneers. Seems rather shady and risky. I don't have a lot of experience with traveling for surgery outside of the country, so I can't speak to that. It may be less expensive, you're right. If you've had a friend who's had a good experience, they're probably the best person to ask, and they can help you navigate the traveling and the possible language barrier. There are a lot of talented surgeons in other countries, so them being in a different country alone should not be a reason why you won't go to them. But I don't think you should go solely on the basis of it being less expensive. What's good for under the chin and neck area where it starts to get loose? I'm not worried too much about it, but just starting to notice it sometimes. Yeah, so the chin and neck area, on different people, they age differently, but you start to see some laxity in that area in your late 30s, early 40s, and probably without seeing you, I can't tell for sure, but usually the treatment for that would be a neck lift and a lower facelift. Your son at the end of the videos is so cute. What inspired you to do that? So one day I was filming when I just started filming my YouTube videos, and my son walked in. He was about 3 years old, and he just started talking exactly the way I talk, like copying me. And I thought it was hilarious, and he wanted me to record him, so I did. And then after I watched the footage later, I just thought it was adorable, and my husband suggested that I just put it at the end of my video. And that one time that I put it at the end of my video, it stuck, and I just kept putting it at the end of all of the videos after that. Hi Lori, do you think orthognathic jaw surgery is worth the potential risks? So I think if you're a healthy individual and you have significant dysfunction to your jaws, I think that it is worth the risk. But I think if you're only doing it for aesthetic reasons, which actually would be really rare because where there's an aesthetic issue, there's generally a functional issue in regards to the jaws. But I think if it's just for slight aesthetics, it wouldn't be worth it. But if there really is dysfunction, which there probably is, and other issues come with that dysfunction, other body-wide issues, for example, sleep apnea, then yes, I think along with all of those other factors, I think jaw surgery is worth the risk. Are there any downsides to veneers? I feel like in the US, almost every celebrity has them and recently became aware of their popularity where I live. Yes, there's definitely downsides to veneers, and my husband, who's a dentist, has been seeing younger and younger patients coming in requesting veneers, sometimes as young as 17 years old, and he's very reluctant, and I don't think he does them on young patients because he feels like the earlier you start veneers, the more often you'll need to have them redone. And each time you get them redone, the tooth is sanded down just a bit more, and eventually the patient over time and decades will end up probably needing crowns, which will file the teeth basically to little nubs to be able to put the crowns on. So yeah, I think there is a huge downside to veneers in that one should really wait as long as possible to get them. And a good alternative for somebody who may want veneers is to try just bleaching their teeth first. I remember when I was still working as a dental hygienist, oftentimes people who wanted veneers or significant cosmetic work to their teeth ended up being really happy just seeing their teeth bleached. So you should definitely try that first. Are there any risks with neck liposuction? I'm 24, saving up to get it done this summer. My doctor said I'm an ideal candidate, but I'm just concerned because I don't want to look crazy when I get older and lose more facial fat, like the risk of looking gaunt with buccal fat removal. So you should definitely ask your doctor about long-term risks. I can't speak to that. I wouldn't expect there to be complications or looking worse down the road. I think would expect you to look better down the road because somebody getting a neck lift that young, like 24, it's not age related. It just means that you have more fat and tissue and are genetically predisposed to having a heavier looking neck. So if you were to get a neck lift at that age, then I think you would look better as you aged because you won't have that heaviness anymore to your neck. I had a lot of skin problems as a kid that required steroid cream around my eyes, but as a result, the skin around my eyes is now aging much faster than the rest of my face. Are there any non-surgical or just non-facelift treatments that you would recommend? I'm also not a huge fan of filler for tear ducts since the long-term results are not great. Okay, so it sounds like you're speaking to the skin quality more than the fullness. Sometimes though, those two things can be related. So if you were full in the under eyes before and now you're not, those fat pads may have dropped down to your mid cheek. And if that's the case, they can lift up those fat pads and reposition them back under your under eyes. But if you were never full there and you're just concerned about skin quality, it sounds like you have thinning skin, then what you're really looking for is some way to make the skin appear more youthful and thicker, and that's a conundrum. I would speak with the dermatologist and see if they would start you on a Retin-A, because Retin-A can increase the collagen over time to the area that it's placed in. I would also think about microneedling with PRP. You say you're not a huge fan of fillers. I was going to suggest a bit of fat there, maybe micro fat grafting to your under eyes in a very controlled and small parcel way. You could look into that, but it has to be with somebody who's extremely experienced in doing things like that. Would you consider more analysis of older women, like 50 and above? Definitely. I'm definitely planning on it this year. Please suggest women down below who you'd be interested in seeing. What is a good alternative to Botox for horizontal forehead lines? You know what? Some people just have really strong muscles, so there's not really a good alternative for those lines. I personally do not get Botox there. The Botox really raises my eyebrows when I do it in the horizontal forehead lines. That's just me. So I don't get it there, but if you have lines there, I don't really know of an alternative. Maybe people in the comments can jump in and say what they've had personal experience with helping those lines there, besides Botox, of course. What's your opinion on hip augmentation versus BBL? I don't have much experience with hip augmentation or BBLs, but I will say that a BBL is much more risky than hip augmentation, which could just be adding Sculptra to the hip dips, which is what I think you mean. I don't think you mean actual silicone hip implants, which in my opinion, it's just too much uncharted territory. For me, I wouldn't be comfortable going there. And actually either one of the procedures, whether it's implants to the hips or a BBL, I think if you're gonna augment your hips, I would do the Sculptra. I would wait on the BBL just because I feel like there's just too much mortality associated with it still. Hi Lori, how do you choose a skilled surgeon for a facelift who doesn't charge Hollywood prices? So with that, you're not going to find skill without the price tag attached, but there are some really exorbitant prices being charged right now by surgeons. And having said that, you don't need to go to a surgeon who charges like 100K plus for a facelift. I think that's what you mean by Hollywood prices, but like the normal price that a good top tier surgeon would charge is probably around 40K right now, which is still a lot of money. What it comes down to is a facelift is still a luxury procedure. It's the sort of procedure where you save for a good 10 or more years to be able to afford it. But as far as finding a cheap and good surgeon, I can't help you there. It seems like good and expensive go together. But having said that, reminding you that there is a threshold and the surgeons charging exorbitant prices are for the uber wealthy. And you could definitely still find a great surgeon who is below 50K. What celebrities were you surprised had work done because it looked so natural? So that would be Shakira, and also when I was first starting out, I was really surprised that Ariana Grande had the extent of plastic surgery work that she had. I didn't realize that she had had that much, in my opinion, of course. Do you think it's false advertising when a celebrity shows their skincare routine but doesn't mention the professional facials and laser treatment they get? I do think it's false advertising, but I think it depends also on the context. If they're trying to sell a skincare product or their own products, it's kind of hard, I guess, to slip that in there and say, well, buy this product, but remember, I've had this and this and this done. But I think if they're asked outright, have you had lasers and skincare treatments in addition to using your own products, then I think they should answer that question honestly. I don't think they should attribute it to like the ingredients in their skincare. When you look in the mirror, do you see a very beautiful woman inside and out looking back at you? I sincerely hope you do, but I know our eyes spend too much time looking for flaws, and perfection is impossible. Yeah, I mean, I would say it depends on the day. I don't think I've ever really thought like, oh my gosh, I'm so beautiful. But I think I've had moments where I'm like, oh, I look really good. And then I've had moments where I was like, wow, I look horrible. So I think it's both. I feel like I go through ups and downs, like I guess like everyone else. So there's nothing like really new to see here with that. It's interesting to think though that even though I've had the surgery that I've wanted to have and been really satisfied with it, I don't think I look great every single day. So the way we look and the way we think we look must be based on way more than what we actually look like. I think it really has more to do with how we're feeling about ourselves and kind of what's going on in the environment as well. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, and then I also didn't answer the most important part of that was, do I feel beautiful on the inside? Again, it depends on the day. It's really hard being a parent. Those of you out there who are parents know this. And sometimes when you're disciplining your kid or setting limits, they can make you feel pretty guilty, and that guilt can take over inside too. And I'm dealing with that a lot nowadays with a 6-year-old. And let me know if you have any advice for me. I'm curious what procedures are used for a turkey waddle neck for women 50 and up. Also the best way to prevent, treat wrinkles without Botox or surgery. The best way to treat that without seeing you, it sounds like it would be a neck lift as well as a lower facelift. In this next following year, I will investigate a little bit more facial exercises and see how much effect that has on people. I also want to look into microcurrents. Now, I know this will only lead to subtle results, but I at least want to check it out for the people who are not interested in surgery. And then as far as the best way to prevent and treat wrinkles without Botox or surgery, just literally, you want to prevent wrinkles, make no expressions, and don't ever smile. I don't think that's a good way to live. I actually knew someone who purposely was trying to prevent wrinkles by never making facial expressions and didn't smile for that reason. And I believe she was semi-successful in not needing Botox, but I think after a certain age, she still gave in and did the Botox. If you were to predict which would be the next popular plastic surgery trend, similar to box size and BBL that we have now, I'm guessing they meant, what would it be? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like a lot of this is influenced by TikTok and social media that I just don't participate in. I make a conscientious effort, unless it's for work, to not look at social media and accounts that would make me feel bad about myself. And that's my advice to you guys, by the way. If you really want to stay out of these toxic trends and the things that people say and talk about regarding looks, I would stay away from all that stuff. So yeah, if there's a trend coming, it's going to catch me by surprise. I don't know what it's going to be, but my general hope is that our trend is to go towards whatever we naturally are. I honestly, at this point, with the surgery I've had and the surgery I've seen, I hope that people just have more peace in the way they look and they are not all trying to look like the same person. I guess that's my hope, is for individuality, for people to just have joy in their individuality, even if they decide to change a feature or two, that they not try to look like the same person, that they still look like themselves. And even though I've had plastic surgery, it was never with the goal to look like anyone else. And I think that was key for me. I always just believed in looking like an enhanced version of myself. And in general, I think that may be a healthier outlook. What's the best way to treat under eye darkness? Filler and topical creams excluded. I did say earlier in this video that if you used to have fullness to your under eyes and now they're dark and they seem deflated, that fat pad might have slipped down and all it needs to do is come back up and be repositioned. That may be why you have darkness, but some people just have genetically dark under eyes. And for those people, I would say that makeup cover is the best solution. At one point, I did use something for that. I used something, I believe, with vitamin K for my under eyes, and that seemed to work relatively well, but I never had a huge problem with dark under eyes. So if it's genetic, if you see it in your family, then yeah, it's genetic. It's hard to treat. There's also a chance you may have allergies and things that are affecting your sinuses. You should definitely get that checked out as well, because that can cause darkening too. Well, that's the end of the questions. Thank you guys so much for participating and for watching. If you've watched till the end, make sure you visit my sponsor ThredUp. The link is down below. This is their second time on the channel. Thank you guys so much for making them feel so welcome. And if you like these kind of Q&A videos, I have 2 of them coming up next. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.